It's 2:47 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Friday the 13th of July, 2012. I'm Mark Strassman, reporter with Utopia News. I'm about to talk to Shane Hamlin, who's the co-director of elections for Washington State. Welcome to Utopia News.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Mark.
We're going to be talking about online voter registration, and I think we should start by reciting the states that now already allow citizens to register to vote online. How many are they? How many are there? Which are they?
Sure, there are 13, and they are Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Nevada, Oregon, South Carolina, Utah, and of course Washington.
Now that's, what years have these come online as allowing online voter registration?
Well, Arizona was the first state to offer online registration as far back as 2002. Washington was the second state in 2008. And then there was a larger group of states that went in 2009 and then 2011. And a couple that just got authority this year and are already up and running, including Maryland, which has been up for about 5 days.
5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many people have used the system in Washington State since it was set up?
Over 475,000 registrations or address updates have been processed through our online registration system.
And what proportion of new voters now register online for the first time?
Sure. So in 2011, about 30% of registrations occurred through the online process. And so far this year, about 32% have occurred through the online registration process.
How happy are the citizens with the system?
Oh, I think Washington citizens are very happy with it. We get very few complaints. We don't really get any complaints about it as an option to register to vote. We occasionally get suggestions for things that people would like to see different or in terms of the user interface. But we think people are embracing it. We did a study in 2009 on it, and people that used it had trust and confidence in it. They felt like it was a secure process. They were likely to recommend it to a friend or family member to use. So we think that people are very comfortable. It's one of the reasons we actually pursued online registration, is because more and more people were starting to do their business online, and it was what we felt citizens expect, is their government should also be doing services and business online.
And how happy are you on the administrative end with it?
Oh, there's all the benefits that we had hoped to achieve we are seeing with it, including reduced costs for voter registration. It is obviously a lot less expensive to process an electronic record with no paper than it is to process a paper voter registration form where you've got to manually hand key in the data. We also think we get more accurate voter registrations because we're not, again, hand keying in data, trying to read someone's handwriting and doing that human data entry. So we're seeing cost savings. It's more efficient in terms of time for processing. And we think we probably are reaching people who might not register because they don't want to fill out a paper form or they don't have access to paper forms.
Have you encountered any technical issues, any difficulties with the system?
No, I would say in that area in terms of technical, just speaking to the technical difficulties or technology part of it, when we received legislative authority to implement online registration in the spring of 2007, and we had a very ambitious timeline of wanting it up in January 2008 so that it could be in use for the 2008 presidential election cycle. And so that was about a 7-month timeline, very compressed, and what we ended up with and what we rolled out functioned exactly as it should, but it was not as polished and clean of an interface as we would have liked, and so we redid the interface last year so that it looks better, it looks more well designed. And so states that are doing it now, I would encourage them to ensure that they have a lot of time to develop it and make sure that they get the user interface right and that it's a well designed, easy to interact with tool, which is what we have now.
Did you develop it in-house or did you contract it out?
We contracted it out. Microsoft built it in partnership with us. They were already doing building our MyVote, comprehensive online voter services portal, and so and they had helped us build our statewide centralized voter registration database. So they were a natural partner to go to build the online registration system.
Have you encountered any issues of fraud?
No. Not that we're aware of. And so there's a couple of things that are built into online registration that are important to preventing fraud. For example, first of all, you can only register online if you have a state-issued driver's license or ID card, because the system works such that when you are filling in your information and you put in your driver's license number and you're on that screen and you hit continue, it does a real-time check against the driver's license agency's database to confirm that that's a real driver's license ID. And then at the end of the process, you are giving us permission to use your driver's license signature, the signature on file with the Department of Motor Vehicles, for voter registration purposes. So real people with real government-issued ID are the only ones that can complete one of these online registrations. So that means that you had to show up in person at a Department of Motor Vehicles or Department of Licensing agency. You had to provide some identification documents to them. You were a real human as opposed to a ghost voter. You had your picture taken and so on. So that's a level of security there. And then in terms of how the application works, we have it's all done on a secure server. So HTTPS and SQL or SSL secure socket layers. That's all built into the application. And then to prevent like a bot type automated program that might have access or might have a list of valid driver's licenses from doing an automatic registration of a bunch of people, there's a CAPTCHA image CAPTCHA image security check built into the process as well.
So would you say you've had zero fraud?
Well, as far as I know, zero fraud, in the sense that we haven't had any fake registrations filed or completed online that we know of, and we've had that we can detect from our systems that are in place, no attempts to bring it down or to hack it. Right. I think we've actually argued, and I think this is true, that it's probably more protected against fraud than a paper-based voter registration system.
People don't register Mickey Mouse.
No, because again, you have to have a real license that gets matched in real time against the driver's license record. So you can't just make up a name and a fake driver's license number to get someone registered so you can get their ballot and then vote it for them, because again, it's a real-time check, and if the driver's license fails the check, then the person can't complete and proceed through the online application process.
Okay, can people use the system to modify their registration information online, including address changes or change their party identification?
They can use the system to update their address, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the that's a very high use of the system, is for address changes and updates. Washington doesn't have party registration when we register to vote, so it's not something we've had to include in it.
Okay, what impact has this online voter registration had overall on the election system in Washington State?
Well, I think we are achieving our main goals of making a voter registration system that is more efficient, less costly, and more accurate, which were our key goals. And as I mentioned earlier, we think it's more accurate because the applicant is entering the data themselves. So they're going to spell their name exactly the way correctly. They're going to get their date of birth correct. They're more likely to get all the information they're keying more accurately than someone who's looking at a paper voter registration form that might have been filled out in haste at a county fair or at some voter registration drive, and the handwriting is sloppy. So we think we're getting more accurate data. We know we have quantitative data that shows online registration saved the state 25 cents per registration and saved the counties 50 cents to $2 per registration. So we know we're seeing savings there. And we just know inherently that it's more efficient to process an electronic record than a paper record.
So in short, you would say it's been a success.
Absolutely. And I think we were the second state in 2008 to offer it, and we now have 12 more states, and there's legislation pending, and I think in several more states, potentially, I think maybe half a dozen or more states that are looking at this as something they'd like to be able to do or learn more about.
You're also involved in a 9-state effort to weed out any multiple state voting registrations. Tell us about that. What other states besides Washington are involved?
Sure. So you're referring to what is called the Electronic Registration Information Center, ERIC, and we call it ERIC for short. And it is a state-based or state-run membership organization where becoming a member, you agree to send your state's voter registration and driver's license data in a secure manner to basically a super data matching engine, which will compare all participating states' data. And then those participating states get reports back that they can use to update and keep their voter rolls accurate. Say, for example, Oregon and Washington are both members of ERIC. Say, for example, the report comes back and it says, well, it looks like John Smith with this date of birth, has recently been issued a driver's license in Oregon. Perhaps he's no longer living in Washington. And so then we can send that John Smith in Oregon a notification saying, it looks like you're no longer living in Washington. If that's the case, please complete this card and we'll cancel your registration, so that we can get people off the voter rolls who are no longer living in our state a little bit faster than we might normally, or so that we can update addresses that might change in state. But the other part of this this program of ERIC is kind of the other side of the scales, if you will, in terms we've got one side that helps us improve the accuracy and integrity of the voter rolls. We also have the ability through ERIC to identify people who might be eligible but are not registered. So then we can target them and mail and provide them, send them something in the mail with instructions on how to get registered, so that they can participate in the electoral process.
Say again what ERIC stands for.
Electronic Registration Information Center.
Okay, good. And who's organizing and paying for it?
Well, the project, ERIC, is the product of a 3-year effort that was led by Pew and initiated by the Pew Center on the States. Pew, after the 2008 election, there were a number of national surveys conducted gauging the voter experience with that election. These are surveys that were done by a couple of different universities. And those surveys found that, and these are large academic quality surveys that found that a fair number of voters were not able to participate in that election because there was a problem with their voter registration record, or their ballot was not mailed to the correct address, again because there was a problem with their voter registration record. So Pew convened states that were already kind of leaders in innovation and technology, as well as academics and technology experts, and wanted to figure out a way to improve or upgrade voter registration in our country. Again, we have largely across the nation a paper-based system, and we are living in a digital age. And there are certainly, for all the reasons I talked about with online registration, there are certainly better ways to handle voter registration. So 3 years later, a lot of research, a lot of work sessions, a lot of brainstorming. We have ERIC, this state-run, state-managed database matching, information matching system that will allow us to improve the accuracy of our voter rolls and reach out to people who are not registered, and then hopefully they will get registered.
And how successful has it been so far in doing those things?
Well, it's brand new. It's brand new. In fact, we and 8 other states just recently signed our agreements and formally created ERIC as a nonprofit corporation. We are in the process of waiting in queue, so to speak, to upload our first set of data so we can get our first set of reports. We anticipate getting our first set of reports probably in late August, and we'll be able to act on just one set in time for the voter registration deadline that looms in October for the general election. So we don't have data yet, but we are all very optimistic that we are going to be able to achieve our goals here of getting cleaner voter rolls that are more up to date and reach out to people that aren't registered.
Do you expect it'll expand beyond the 9 states that are involved now?
Oh, we certainly hope so. The idea is that the hope among those of us that are members is that other states will see what the benefits that we are reaping by participating in ERIC, and that they will want to join as well.
Okay. Getting back to Washington State, what qualities in the civic culture and among the people of Washington State have allowed you to move ahead with these electoral technology initiatives?
Well, I think you have to go back quite a ways in our political culture and history. We're a very progressive state, and which is pretty common on the West Coast. I think the West Coast in general is more, when it comes to election reforms and and progressive election ideas and innovations, the West is ahead of the East Coast. More states in the West have vote by mail, and more people vote by mail, for example, in the West Coast. In Washington, we have a very populous state, a very innovative state. Obviously, like California, we have a pocket, a high concentration of high-tech industries. We are obviously home to Microsoft and a lot of other IT companies. So having a level of comfort with technology and seeing technology as a solution to common everyday problems is part of our culture. And we have legislators who have worked in the IT industry and who therefore understood immediately kind of the potential and promise of online registration. We have a strong university system that supports technology and innovation and obviously helps in our economy that way. So we are a state, I think, that overall embraces innovation and technology, and our citizens seem to be there with us. We don't get calls and complaints about the fact that we offer online registration. It's just an option, a tool that's available, and we hope that more people will use it as we market it. Because I think what's holding us right back now in terms of really seeing growth in it is this we could do more to promote it, and we will be this year heading into the presidential election.
People will be able to watch this video and get more information about it as well.
Great. Yes.
What would you say to your election administration colleagues in other states who might be considering moving to an online voter registration system?
I would say that they could talk with me or any of those other 11, 12 states that have it, and then have had it for a long time. There's a few of us that have had it for a few years now, and they will hear what I've said, that we have achieved efficiencies, we have reduced costs, and we're getting more accurate records. And really also it's what citizens expect, not just in Washington because we have a high concentration of technology companies, or even California that has a high concentration of technology companies, but across the country, citizens, everyday people, are using their smartphones to make purchases, to book travel, to do banking. Again, services online and access to services online is becoming something that citizens just expect from their government and from the business sector. So to my election colleagues, and I've talked to many of them as part of an association and at different events and functions, I always encourage them to take a look at online registration because we are seeing the benefits from it, and our citizens are embracing it, and it's what they expect from their government.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for your work on this and for talking to us about it today on Utopia News.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the time and opportunity to talk about it. I always like to talk about how effective it is and then how well it's doing.
Thank you again.
Thank you.